I got to round 185 without getting a single kill, and it wasn't on buried. Now, before I get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to Russian for the challenge. It was a pretty interesting way to play the map compared to the regular way. And also, if there's anybody who wants to react to this video, you can just be sure to leave links to my Twitch and YouTube in the description of your video. So let's get into what this challenge is, because getting past any round without killing a zombie isn't actually possible, because you'd technically be killing zombies with traps or nukes. So what a no-kill challenge consists of is you go through rounds without getting a single kill on your scoreboard. This means that you can't actually get a kill directly yourself. So for example, using insta-kills, death machines, AATs and wonder weapons. However, this does mean that you can use traps and nukes because they don't count as kills on your scoreboard due to them basically being an indirect kill, as you yourself are not the one killing the zombies. Now really, the difficulty in this challenge comes from knowing if you get trapped, you cannot shoot in order to get out of the situation you're in, and you basically have to use a safety gobblegum to get out of it. Or you have to take the down. But now with all the information of the challenge out the way, let's get into the strategies I used in order to get to round 185. To begin with though, I want to point out I did use mega gobblegums in this game. I used Round Robin, Shopping Free, Dead of Nuclear Winter and Raindrops, and then I also used the classic gobblegum In Plain Sight. Mega Gums for a no kills game just allows you to be able to get through the first few rounds without losing your mind, despawning and respawning zombies to get points, and makes the early game reasonably fast. This is because Round Robin gives you 1600 points and skips the round. Then a Raindrops gives you 9 different drops, 3 of them being able to give you points, then having a double points as well means you can get a total of 3700 points per Raindrops activation, which means you can get a total of 7400 points per Raindrops gobblegum you get, and you get a free perk from it, so what's not to love? Then I had the Nuke gobblegum for helping me clear the first 30 or so rounds, as well as using them for monkey rounds later on so that they aren't able to take any of my perks, and it's an extra 400 points per activation. Alongside this, Shopping Free is an incredible gum for hitting through your cycle. This is because you can hit the gobblegum machine 3 times per round. However, every time you hit it, it gets more expensive, and every 10 rounds the price doubles for hitting 2 or 3 times, all the way up until 1 million points at round 100 for the second hit, and 2 million for the third hit. However, because Shopping Free gives you these hits for free, it allows you to get through your gum cycle and get to a gobblegum you want a lot faster and for free. Then the final gobblegum I had was In Plain Sight for safety, just in case I get trapped on some of the higher rounds and needed to get out. And it ended up being incredible for when I needed to buy Jug back after I take it down. So at the start of the game, what I would do is hit the gobblegum machine for one of 4 gums. If I got the In Plain Sight on round 1, I would have to restart. Thankfully that never happened, so I was able to get started right away. I would then be cycling through my gum cycle in order to get as many Raindrops and Round Robins as possible to get to as high a round as I can in as short a time as possible. This worked pretty well, as I made it to round 30 in just over 32 minutes, and at this point I felt fairly confident I could start using traps in order to kill the zombies fairly quickly and consistently without relying on gobblegums to kill, and I knew I had a decent amount of points. Now this is where the game got pretty interesting, as I decided to try a double trap strategy that I just tried the day before and thought it was good enough. I would start the strategy at the RK5 wall by just down from the stairs of Widow's Wine. After a few seconds of staying there, I would begin to walk towards the fire trap and kill the initial horde just behind the trap. Then after a few seconds there, I would then do a large loop around the bottom part just outside of Pack-a-Punch and back up towards the trap, jump through the trap in order to kill the zombies I had behind me. This was quite risky though, as you have to be careful you don't get trapped by any zombies running through the other side of the trap as you're jumping through. Then after I jumped through the trap, I would then walk back to the RK5 area to allow new spawning zombies to spawn in that area. Once I was in the RK5 area again, this is where I would use an interesting mechanic that Bo3 implemented quite heavily, but use it to my advantage. For those of you who don't know, when you run far enough away from the zombies on Bo3, the zombies you had behind you would despawn and then respawn in the area you are in when they despawn. So what I would do is I would sprint from the RK5 all the way over to Stamina Up and then begin to get a horde of zombies behind me by training in that area. Once I was confident I had the full horde, I would then put a barrier on the window closest to the trap. I would then switch the trap on and go to the other side, watching all the zombies run through the trap. After this, I would then run back through the trap, and the only reason this was somewhat safe to do is due to delaying the zombies coming out from the barrier by putting a board there. Running back through the trap allowed me to kill a few extra zombies coming from the couple of windows the other side of Stamina Up trap, while being able to get another horde of zombies on the Stamina Up side, which I then took back through the trap. Once jumping back through, I then run back to the RK5 and repeat the strategy. This strategy worked pretty well and was relatively fast for not being able to kill, at a speed of about 25 to 27 seconds per horde, so my rounds were going by pretty quick. Then, at about round 40, I decided the zombies had enough health in order to make some points using the KN-44. But then on round 41, because I wasn't used to this, I ended up taking a very stupid down and had to make a recovery. To do this, I first went into spawn and grabbed quick revive. I then thankfully had it raindrops and went just outside of the jug area in order to use one, pick up a nuke and a perk. Luckily the perk was double tap and not something like Widow's Wine, and the nuke gave me just enough time to run down, grab jug and run all the way back up to get Stamina Up. But anyway, the strategy seemed to work pretty well for about an hour, at which point I took my second down on round 58. Now this down, however, happened due to me taking a hit before I ran through the Stamina Up trap. Thankfully, I had an in plain sight, so after I ran down to spawn and bought quick revive back, I went up through to jug, popped an IPS, bought jug, and then trained a horde of zombies by the RK5 to bring them through to the KN-44 trap. However, because of this down, I decided I needed to change my strategy over at Stamina Up. This would end up being the strategy I ended up using for the remainder of the game. The only thing I decided to change was, instead of jumping back through the trap at Stamina Up, I would stay over the other side and board the window fully. I would then wait for the zombies from the outside of spawn to reach me and then sprint all the way over to the RK5. This strategy for a no kills game was incredible, as from all the way from round 61 to round 100 I didn't take a single down. And the time it took to get there was actually quite fast, with it being just under 6 hours to get there. In fact, I didn't actually down again at all until round 114. But now I'd taken my third down and I had to rely on raindrops to give me my extra revive. Though, to give myself the best possible odds, I bought Jug, Stamina Up, and the only 2 perks you can get from the Wonder Fizz, which is Double Tap and Deadshot. I then popped both of my raindrops, the first one giving me Speed Cola, and the next one I get a lucky Quick Revive. However, this QR didn't last long, as I downed again on round 118. Unfortunately, my VOD gave me a network error, so I can't actually show the down, but I basically recovered the same way, and I got another QR, which once more doesn't last long, as I downed again on 122, the same way I downed at the very start of the game. This recovery though could have very well ended my game, as I ran down the stairs to get Jug and I ended up getting red screened by a zombie that had spawned down there. And the only thing I could do is use my nuke Gobblegum and pray I didn't get slapped again by the zombie. Thankfully though, I didn't, and I managed to buy Jug and get out of there. I then decided to hit the gun machine and I got a shopping free, which allowed me to hit through my cycle to get another raindrops. However, this raindrops I didn't get lucky with, and it took me all the way until round 125 to get my QR back with another raindrops. Moving through the game, I downed 3 more times from round 125 to 142 on rounds 132, 138 and 142, now being about halfway through my game at about 15 hours. And at this point I was really tempted to quit out of my game, but I decided to see if my game would crash overnight, which thankfully it didn't. At this point I managed to get another Quick Revive back, and I play much better and much more consistent all the way from 142 to 171, which is about 9 hours of gameplay. However, on 171, I take my 9th down of the game, getting stuck on a pipe at Stamina Up. I yet again managed to get another Quick Revive from raindrops, but then on round 177, I take another down, making it my 10th of the game, but also my last, as I then play flawless from there until round 185, where my game unfortunately errors. To kind of show how long these rounds were taking, my early round 100s were only taking about 15 minutes. Then 40 rounds later, they took about 30 minutes, and by the round 180s, they were taking over an hour, which was crazy. This meant even to get to 200, I would have needed to play about 8 to 10 more hours, depending on the monkeys and my Gobblegum cycle. Overall though, the game took about 30 hours and 30 minutes across the span of around 7 days. And I'm pretty happy with what I managed to accomplish, especially since it was only my 2nd attempt at this challenge, and maybe I'll give it another go on a different map and more difficult map, and see what happens if it's something you guys would like to watch. If you'd like to see my full gameplay, I'll have a link in the description below to my Twitch collection, just to show that I didn't have a single kill for those of you who don't believe it. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. If you didn't, let me know what could be improved in the comments. And also, what kind of challenge would you guys like to see me do next? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.